Hello everyone, this is Bhumika Sharma. Today we are going to discuss the last part of Unit 1, that is part 5. In this we will be covering organization of FSL, CFSL and SFSL, NCRB, NICFS, fundamental rights, criminal profiling, profile of victim, culprit, its role in crime investigation, lie detection, narco analysis, brain mapping, concept of quality control management in forensic institutions, etc. Now about forensic labs, the first Central Forensic Science Lab was established in Kolkata in 1957, followed by Hyderabad in 1967, then Delhi 1968, Chandigarh 1978, and Guwahati, Bhopal, Pune in 2011. Directorate of Forensic Science Services was created in 2002 by Ministry of Home Affairs. 6 CFSLs are under MHA except Delhi CFSL, which is under CBI. There are total of 7 CFSLs, 32 SFSL and 66 RFSLs, along with 385 district mobile forensic units. About NICFS. NICFS is National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Science, which was set up at 1972 under Ministry of Home Affairs. In 2003, it was renamed as LNJN NICFS, which is Lok Nayak Jai Prakash Narayan, National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Science. And since 2004, it started 2 courses, MA Criminology and MSc Forensic Science, in affiliation with Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University. Gujarat Forensic Science University was established in 2009, and in 2020 NICFS along with GFSU they are merged to form National Forensic Science University. The National Crime Record Bureau was established in 1986. The various activities of Central Forensic Science Laboratories include the investigation of all the government cases, the cases from the state which do not have forensic setup, cases referred by the court of law, highly sophisticated cases referred by the SFSLs for which no expertise or facilities exist with them, and cases referred by the neighboring countries. Organization of FSLs include director, joint director, scientific care for each unit, deputy director, assistant director, senior scientific officer, junior scientific officer, scientific assistant, lab assistant, and lab attendant. Now coming on to the fundamental rights, right to equality is mentioned in Article 14 to 18, which includes Article 14 equality before law, Article 15 social equality, Article 16 employment equality, Article 17 abolition of untouchability, Article 18 abolition of titles. Right to freedom, article it is described in Article 19 to Article 22. Article 19(1) is the freedom of speech and expression. Article 19(2) is to assemble peacefully without arms. Article 19(3) to form associations or unions. Article 19(4) to move freely throughout the territory of India. Article 19(5) to practice any profession. Article 20 protection in respect of conviction for offences. Article 21 protection of life and personal liberty. Article 21A free and compulsory education of children of from 6 to 14 years of age. Article 22 protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. In my previous video, I have discussed about Miranda warning. So, the Article 20 and Article 21 corresponds to Miranda warning, that is protection in respect of conviction and protection of life and liberty. Forensic psychology is the scientific study of human mind and its function that affects behavior. Munsterberg founded forensic psychology. The various psychological conditions are Parkinsonism, that causes abnormal movement, tremor, impaired speech, and muscle stiffness. Senile dementia, it is the loss of intellectual ability, uh, usually because of old age. Delusion, a belief or altered reality. Illusion, misinterpreted or perception of a sensory experience. For example, if we think of a rope as a snake due to our sensory experience, impersonation, copying other behaviors or action. Korsakoff psychosis is the patient fills the gaps with the imaginary events, and these fabrications are known as confabulation. Delirium, mental confusion, and emotional disruption. Persecution, it is the type of delusion of a mistreatment of an individual or group by another individual or group. So McNaughton was suffering from this delusion of persecution. Infidelity is cheating or straying. Grandeur is the feeling of being important. Nihilism is a belief that all values are baseless. They would believe in the people suffering from nihilism would believe in nothing, no loyalties, and just an impulse to destroy everything. Bobbitt syndrome is the mutilation of penis by female partner. Caffey-Kempis syndrome, battered baby syndrome, maltreatment syndrome, or parent-infant traumatic stress syndrome is related with the child who gets repetitive physical injuries from parents or guardian. Other psychological conditions includes kleptomania, that is irresistible desire to steal articles or of little value. Pyromania, irresistible desire to set fire to things. Dipsomania, irresistible desire to alcoholic drinks. Mutilomania, irresistible desire to mutilate animals. Imbecile, person affected with moderate intellectual ability. Psychopath, it is a mental deficiency, but it is not a personality disorder. Perception, it is the absence of an external stimulus and also referred as hallucination. Somnolentia, prolonged transition from sleep to waking with partial alertness, disorientation, and drowsiness. Somnambulism, sleepwalking. Fugue, reversible amnesia for personal identity. Capgras syndrome, imposter syndrome, or Capgras delusion, a delusion in which a person feels that a close family member is replaced by an identical looking stranger. Frigoli syndrome, in this, a person believes that different people are in fact a single person who changes their appearance. Syndrome of intermetamorphosis, that is the delusional belief that an individual has been transformed both psychologically and physically into another person. Clearembault syndrome, erotomania, a belief in which a person thinks that a higher person with a higher social status is in love with him or her. Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It is the person causes injury to his child in order to draw attention or gain sympathy. Metamerism is a condition in which two colors appear similar under one set of conditions but different under others. Mesmerism is a term to define a technique to put a person into a trance-like state with very few words. Anachronism, it is anything that is out of time and out of place. The various deception detection techniques (DDTs) are polygraphy, narco analysis and brain mapping. Polygraphy is also known as lie detector. It was invented in 1921 by John Augustus Larson. It is based on the principle of psychosomatic interactions of an individual. Somato means skin, psycho, brain. So, in this, psychologically, a change in a person's feelings produce a reaction in the form of physiological changes. So the psychological changes results in blood pressure changes, respiration changes, galvanic skin reaction, and pulse. These are measured by using arm cuff or sphygmomanometer, chest belt or pneumographic tube, electrode at index finger, plethysmograph with and these are measured with 75 to 97% accuracy. For blood pressure examination, we use sphygmomanometer. For respiration, we used chest belt. For galvanic skin reaction, we use electrode. And for pulse, we use plethysmograph. In narco analysis, anesthetic drugs are intravenously introduced to make the suspect semi-conscious. The drugs used are scopolamine hydrobromide, sodium amytal benzodiazepines, 3-quinoclidinyl benzylate, and thiopentone sodium or sodium pentothal. These are also known as truth serums. The term was coined by Horsley. Participation and presence of a medical doctor is mandatory. About brain mapping, it is invented by Lawrence Farwell. The instantaneous psychophysiological valuation of an individual's response to certain stimuli is measured. It uses EEG electroencephalography to measure event related potentials known as P300. It is based on the memory of the person. So, electric event beginning at 300 milliseconds after exposure to a stimulus, memory and encoding related multifaceted electroencephalographic response. It only awakes when the stimulus is already present in the individual's memory. So the regions of brain for lie are medial frontal gyrus and inferior frontal gyrus, whereas for truth is inferior parental lobe. Now, some of the disadvantages of using deception detection techniques are the violation of section 161 to CRPC. No person accused of an offence shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. The violation of Article 23 of Indian Constitution, protection against self-incrimination, and gives the accused the right to remain silent over any matter which tends to incriminate him. These are of less accuracy, consent is necessary, and slapping for narco analysis, it is a disadvantage. Memory response from news, also in brain mapping, false results can be obtained due to the memory response from news or heard event. About the laboratory accreditation and quality management. So, laboratory accreditation activities are administered under National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratory (NABL), which is established in 1988 as per ISO Indian Standard Organization 17025/2005, which is amended it in 2017, and ISO 21043/2018, which is specific for forensic science laboratories. ISO 21043/2018 is divided into 5 parts. In part 1, it includes terms and definitions. Part 2 includes recognition, recording, collecting, transport, and storage of items. Part 3 involves analysis. Part 4 involves interpretation, and Part 5 involves reporting. These Part 3, 4, 5 are still in under process. This is the diagrammatic representation to understand the various clause and forensic processes. So general requirements or principles are under clause part 1 and part 2 clause 5. Scene control would be under clause 6. Scene examination and recording would be according to IS clause 7 and 8. Part 2, item collection and transport would be covered under ISO Part 2 Clause 9. Analysis would be covered under ISO Part 2 Clause 7 and 8 and ISO Part 3. Interpretation would be under ISO Part 4. Reporting would be according to the ISO Part 2 and ISO Part 5. Code of ethics. No standardized code of ethics exists for criminalistics or forensic science. However, the code of ethics developed by California Association of Criminalistics is widely used. Another code is developed by American Academy of Forensic Sciences. The following criminal responsibility rules are wild beast test. Defendants were not to be convicted if they understood the crime no but better than an infant, a brute, or a wild beast. McNaughton rule, which we have already discussed. Irresistible impulse test, that is due to mental disease. The defendant was unable to control his impulse. Current's rule, an accused will not be criminally responsible if at the time of crime he did not have the capacity to regulate what he is doing to the requirements of law, capacity to regulate his conduct as a result of a mental disease or defect. And the age of criminal responsibility in India is 7 years. Few important terms and definitions include testamentary capacity, that is capacity to dispose of property, criminal responsibility or insanity defense, responsibility regarding criminal matter, letter mortem, that is word said before death, res aespa locutor, that is the thing or fact speaks for itself, novus actus, an unrelated act or act of God, voir dire, when the prosecution introduces the forensic scientist and describes his or her qualification and experience as an expert. Equivocal death, that is questionable death, autopsy, the use of computed tomography in autopsy. Thanks for watching.